All right, we got Nick, Matt, and Mike again. We felt like we didn't have enough time in the last video to talk, to do justice to just how good Illmatic and Ready to Die were for the time that they came out and just in general. So this is just a little more discussion on why these two albums were so great. Matt, why do you think Illmatic was deserving of such high praise for 1994?
It's the godfather of rap. Like I said, if you took away all hip hop that's ever been made, going back to 1978 or 9, whenever it started, all the way to now, and you just left Illmatic for future humans, they could probably build hip hop back. I heard someone say that, I forget who, but it was such a good point. So if we're talking about Ready to Die versus Illmatic, I wonder how many people would say Illmatic is better. When I'm looking online and I'm looking on what the online hip hop community has to say, I'm seeing a lot more about Illmatic. And when I started looking at all that stuff, I've never not been into Illmatic. It's perfect. It's 4 out of 4, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100, however you want to rate it. I've been listening to it for 10 years now. It was maybe in college I really gave it a shot, but I've known what it was since I was a little kid. So when I saw that so many people were saying that Illmatic is the best rap album of all time, I kind of listened to it a little differently. I always am very analytical of the rapping aspect of hip hop, more so than like the beats and everything. But everything about it is perfect. I feel like there's better rapping. I personally think that on Ready to Die, Biggie raps better. His flows, his cadences, the storytelling and everything. But Illmatic, it's like you said, Nick, before, everything rhymes on the whole album. It was the first to come out that year. It came out in April. Ready to Die came out in September. So who knows? Maybe it influenced Ready to Die even. I'm not sure of that, but it's a street reporting album. He's a street reporter. He's reporting his surroundings. He's reporting his life. He was very young. He sounds so mature for how young he is. He's like that the Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, like, you know how they're all kind of, it's almost like the extravagance of their character is kind of the way they rap and tell stories and everything. It's like almost an exaggeration, even if it's not so much, but everything's like uplifted and exaggerated. Did Illmatic create like the mafiosa type of style? What else have we listened to from 1990 to 1994 before Illmatic that was like really like a mafia type of vibe? Even if he's not like even if he wasn't like mafioso himself, just the whole vibe of the album. It's like that. I don't know. It's the mafia part is just kind of it. Dude, Biggie was in Junior Mafia. There was something with like the gangster image was like exaggerated and made into like this larger than life thing. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at. But dude, Illmatic, like I said, it's perfect. There's not a single flaw in it. There's people that have rapped better, but there haven't been people to make an album this perfect. I don't really know what else to say. It's literally perfect. It has every single quality of hip hop in it. There's the darker songs like New York State of Mind. There's the somewhat love song like One Love with Q-Tip. And then my personal favorite song on the album is It Ain't Hard to Tell. And yeah, I'm gonna let these guys go because I could talk about this for so long. You could put Illmatic as your favorite album of all time, and it's completely understandable. You could think it's the best rap album of all time. It's completely understandable. It just boils down to personal preference when it comes to Illmatic versus Ready to Die. As I've said in our other videos, I'm the biggest rap guy, like the technical rapping aspect of it. Nas is rhyming, Nas is rapping supremely well, but to me, Biggie has the better. On Ready to Die, there's better flows, there's better cadences, and it's a concept album. There's a start and finish, and it follows the story, and there's different situations, and I don't want to say it's more complete, but it's longer. There's more in it. It maybe takes a longer time for him to get his story across, whereas Illmatic is so compact and just so well put together and just you could get right through it and be like, wow, that was an amazing project and everything. But I like Ready to Die more, and it really just boils down to personal preference. Anyone could say either's better than the other, but it's not by far. And yeah, I don't know. You guys say I'm gonna lose my mind thinking about how good they are. So,
as different as they are, there are so many actual similarities between these two albums. You just look at the album covers. Both of them are them as children on the front. Nas had it first. There is dispute whether Biggie copied that idea or not. I don't care. No one cares at this point in time because they're both all-time album covers. And I think keeping up with the cover idea, Nas, it's literally him as a 6 or 7 year old. I should know this. I did a video on it. Superimposed in front of the Queensbridge housing projects, because when they asked that question, why he chose that, he was saying that was around the time when he started to notice his surroundings and realize like the hardships that are like in his environment. Like it's messed up. Like this is not how he wants to live. He wants to get out of there and he wants to help the people around him. You know, it's a little different than Biggie. Biggie's a lot darker in it's like more like introspective darker. I mean, first of all, having this album Ready to Die for a guy that is just going to die a couple years later is pretty crazy. But going back to Nas, it is like half the length of Biggie's, which is fine. Like I don't knock it because of that, because it's so compact, it's so concise. The rhyming is just so flawlessly perfect. Now, like honestly, New York State of Mind might be the single best rap song ever. I don't know if I'm alone in thinking like that, but it's been one of my favorite songs forever. It's a complete story that it's as visual as any song has ever been. It may as well be a damn movie. It's so good. It's a lot quicker, a little easier. Maybe, actually, I would say it's a little more. It's less passive of a listen. You could listen to Ready to Die in the background, and it's like a better for like a crowd. You don't have to pay as much attention. And that's not to say that he's saying less, because he's saying the same amount. But like the beat, like Machine Gun Funk, like that beat on the background is just a little bit better than having Nas, like in his voice too. Just a little bit better than just throwing Nas on in the background. If you maybe you don't feel that way, but that's how I do. It's one of those things where it's like kind of like Jordan and LeBron. It's just all bias. I mean, Jordan's better, for the record, but it's still a little bit of bias when you compare the two. These albums are 29 years old, and they sound modern. Like, they could come out in 2023 at the time of recording this, and you'd be like, yeah, there's some new shit, there's good shit. But they still sound so much like period correct albums. Like, they're encapsulate the entire sound of the 90s. The beats, the flows, the lyrics, the content, how they, ride the beat, everything. It's like Michael Jackson in the way that it's timeless music. Like Led Zeppelin, it's timeless music. It'll never get old, it'll never get stale. And when people get introduced to the hip hop genre, it's usually these two albums that they're first introduced to that make them love rap music, because they just transcend all genres. It's just as good as it gets. And it's so interesting that they came out in the same year, and that maybe nothing since and nothing before has ever been as good. Like, yeah, this might be the single best. This is peak year for rap in a way.
What the hell was going on there?
The stars aligned.
There's pre 1994 and then there's post 1994.
Yeah, it was a turning point in musical history, not even just rap history. And yeah, I wanted to touch on what you were saying, Mike. I think these two albums are probably the two most influential hip-hop albums ever, kind of both in terms of lyrics and production. Something we haven't really mentioned yet is that Illmatic is the first, usually seen as the first big rap album to have a crew of major producers doing different songs throughout the album. Like, before that, most albums were kind of handled in-house, one, maybe two producers, or like a group of producers that always works together. But this, for Illmatic, they pulled in like DJ Premier, Q-Tip, Pete Rock did a song, The Large Professor did a couple songs. Like, they had all these different guys come from different backgrounds come together to make this insanely New York album, and then you have Nas rapping. You feel like you're in New York when you're listening to it. He's describing it so well, so visually. And I think that's why people like Illmatic so much. Whereas with Ready to Die, the production's done by Diddy, kind of curated it himself. They did bring in a lot of producers. Like, I think DJ Premier did Unbelievable. Lord Finesse, I think, did Suicidal Thoughts. And then, yeah, so they also brought in a lot of people. But it kind of revolutionized the commercial hip-hop sound. And then, Mike, like you said, Biggie's lyrics were kind of darker, more introspective. He kind of showed some depression in some of the songs, and that is more personal. So I think they're two extremely different albums, and while they're so influential, the ways they influenced music going forward were so different.
Yeah, Biggie, like you said, Biggie's definitely more introspective, depressive, like, oh, I have to fix myself. While I feel like Nas is more like about the community and like the people. Like, I gotta fix the people, I gotta fix the way of life, I gotta fix the way people think about their surroundings so they don't get trapped in this area.
Yeah, dude, the way that the track listing goes on Illmatic starts out dark, kind of heavy, kind of sad in a way, like New York State of Mind, Life's a Bitch, and then it goes into The World Is Yours, where it's like uplifting and it's like positive, enthusiastic, and then Halftime, the halfway mark of the album, pretty much. Fun song. I don't know if it's exactly a party song, but it's definitely something that would be playing at like a basketball game. And then it kind of goes into like Memory Lane, which is still happy. Like the midway, it's still happy and like reflective. And then One Love, kind of a love song in a way. Still not dark. One Time for Your Mind, and then Represent, It Ain't Hard to Tell. Then it kind of goes into, oh, it's dark. He kind of figured out the world is his, and then it's like, wow, look how sick this guy is. What are your guys' top 3 songs on Illmatic?
For me, it's probably Memory Lane, New York State of Mind, and The World Is Yours.
Mine, in order, from like favorite to least favorite. Not least favorite, but of the top 3. Number 1, by far, few songs could even touch it, New York State of Mind. 2 would probably be Halftime. I love the idea of Halftime because it's right in the middle of the album. I think that's so brilliant. And then it's a toss-up between Represent and It Ain't Hard to Tell. But if I had to choose, I'd probably do It Ain't Hard to Tell.
My favorite is It Ain't Hard to Tell. Something about the beat, dude. It's one of my all-time favorite beats. I think Large Professor did that one. I would have to confirm that, but
I got it. He did.
Something about that song, it pumps me up. The way it makes me feel when I'm walking the dog and shit. It's one of my favorite songs. Number 2 is probably The World Is Yours. And then number 3 always changes. On some days, it could be New York State of Mind. Some days Represent, Memory Lane. But right now, my third favorite is One Love. But I'm sure that'll change down the road. But It Ain't Hard to Tell is kind of solidified as my number 1, and The World Is Yours is kind of solidified as number 2. But yeah, right now, I'd say One Love. So those are my top 3. What are your guys' top 3 songs on Ready to Die? Little bit long. It's a long, like double the length. So it's definitely more difficult because there's not a single skip besides the Fuck Me interlude. Some people probably don't think that's a skip, but it's a total skip for me, especially if I'm listening on a speaker. Nick, you want to go first?
Sure. For this, I'm going to have to go Warning, One More Chance, and Everyday Struggle.
Dude, One More Chance is not in my top 3, but I couldn't love it more, and it might be his best rapping. Maybe, I don't know. Something about One More Chance is just...
Yeah,
I feel like it's somewhat...
It's dirty.
Somewhat, like, it's dirty, and I feel like it's... no, I'm not even going to compare that. But, yeah, One More Chance is unreal. I wonder how many people would have that in their top 3. Mike,
it's just
how...
You? One sec. It's just how he sounds over the beat that's playing. It's like...
Yeah.
Insane. It's intimidating.
It's like perfect rapping.
Yeah.
So for my top three, this may be the hardest album to pick my top three favorite songs on. Gun to my head, I'm picking, in no order, Warning. Dude, I don't know what to say because I feel like I'm going to leave something out that I don't want to, but it's probably Warning, Give Me the Loot, and Machine Gun Funk. Because those just bounce. I love it. But yeah. I want to say, though, Things Done Changed to One More Chance is probably the best 6-song streak in any album history. That's fair. Those 6 songs are like 6 of the best rap songs ever.
Dude, we all have different top threes. I mean, mine could change at any point, but as of right now, and kind of historically, for the past 15 years of me listening to this, I'm going to have to go with Warning, Unbelievable, and Machine Gun Funk. Machine Gun Funk could probably change, but I feel like Warning and Unbelievable kind of are solidified maybe at the moment. When I first found out Biggie, when I first started listening to this album, I mean, you can't forget like Juicy and like Big Papa, but dude, Suicidal Thoughts, crazy. I was listening to that when I was a kid, but God, that's a good song.
That song fucked me up.
Yeah, what a good way to kind of end it. But yeah, dude, Give Me the Loot's amazing. The What with Method Man, Everyday Struggle is all time. Everything's amazing on here.
Everything's amazing.
I'm going with Warning, Unbelievable, Machine Gun Funk.
Dude, the Shaq line, which I can't say, and Give Me the Loot, like from that part, a couple lines after that, God, is that as sick as it gets. The power behind his voice is unmatched.
It was hard to not pick Give Me the Loot. I think how he split it into like 2 different characters is, to this day, one of the most creative things anyone's ever done in a song.
And Give Me the Loot or Warning?
Give Me the Loot. Did I say Warning?
No, both, technically.
Dude, Warning is such a good story. He is so smooth, and it's such a good story. And the way that he acts as the guy on the other side of the phone, and it all flows and rhymes. It is
just visualize
perfect.
Both these albums, you could see what they're saying. Like, you could visualize everything they're saying perfectly. That's just how they're rapping.
Definitely 2 of the more visual albums of all time. So, I hope you got something out of this. I hope you like these 2 albums. If for some reason you don't, or you haven't heard either of them in a long time, please revisit them and listen to them back to back. It's going to change the way you see both of them, and it'll just literally elevate them both in your mind because they're all time. So, I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us your top 3 favorite songs from each. Tell us something. So, thank you very much. Peace.